Today's episode is brought to you by MYOB. SoundCartel. The pandemic has impacted many sectors, but one in particular has enjoyed huge growth: the cybercrime industry. So how can small businesses without their own IT experts negotiate this growing problem? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. With more and more small businesses going online, some have found their efforts thwarted by electronic extortion and scams. Peter Wolski is the head of information and cybersecurity for the MYOB business software company. He says there's a cyber attack in Australia every 8 minutes, but that businesses can take some simple steps to ensure they don't fall prey. He starts by telling Jeff Waters that it's still worth going or staying digital.
I think it's critically important for small businesses to be digitally advanced, and that's really proven out in the last 18 to 24 months since COVID hit. I think being digitised is important for many reasons. It provides small businesses with vital information that they can use to get a holistic picture of their operations. This helps them improve their business accuracy, decision making, and their strategy making. We've got a number of figures that I can quote to you, and I think I'll go back to pre-COVID times, and Deloitte's 2017 Connected Small Business Report found that SMEs with advanced levels of digital engagement are much more likely, and up to 50% more likely, to grow their revenue. I think if you look at the kinds of things that you can do when you're digitally optimized, you can support your core businesses such as generating revenue, managing your staff, suppliers, and work in progress and cash flow and compliance. These are all repetitive tasks that are critical for businesses to get right. At the moment, we estimate that almost 500,000 businesses in Australia of the small to medium enterprise size have no or very low levels of digitisation. That's 1 in 5 of the SME sector.
How has COVID and working from home affected the levels of cyber crime for Australian small businesses?
Well, I think as COVID has led more businesses to move their operations online, they obviously can become the target of cybercrime. Overall, moving online is a really good thing, and MYOB's June Business Monitor report said that 46% of SMEs moved their businesses online after the pandemic hit, and 85% of those said it helped their businesses stay afloat. What's important is that those businesses understand that cybersecurity is a serious part of moving online.
Why?
As we open up new methods for doing business, obviously the criminals target those methods of doing business. The more you work online, that just gives criminals another avenue. I think moving online, though, is a safe way of doing business as long as you understand the risks of moving online and are able to get the right help through things like the Australian Cybersecurity Centre to do so safely.
If you want a business advisor that walks with you and not just talks with you, then MYOB is the right fit for your business. To find out more, visit myobs.com.au. That's MAZARS.com.au.
What kinds of cyber attacks are taking place?
In the past 12 months, we've seen an increase particularly in 2 types of cyber attacks: business email compromise and ransomware. Business email compromise is a type of scam when somebody sends information, such as invoices, posing to be a supplier to a small business, and this supplier comes with different payment details or different payment instructions than what the person is used to. If the business paying the invoice doesn't check on what they're doing, they may pay into a new account which is run by a criminal. Obviously, it's important when changing critical items like bank details for your invoices to validate that in either your systems or with the vendor that's sending you the invoice. Ransomware is the other attack that we have seen a significant increase. In ransomware, The criminal encrypts your data and then extorts businesses for money. Like all criminals, they know their targets and they're really good at asking how much money to ask for. So for a smaller business, they ask for a smaller amount of money, and for larger businesses, they ask for a larger amount of money.
Do you know how many businesses are being affected by these attacks, and what are they doing to overcome them?
The latest report from the Australian Cybersecurity Centre shows that scam activity is increasing. Last year, the ACSC received over 67,000 cybercrime reports, up almost 13% from the previous year. What people can do to protect themselves from these attacks? I think the number one thing is to keep your system updated, especially the systems that you control. So this is the most important thing according to the Australian Cybersecurity Centre. And as more and more businesses move online and into the cloud, this is an activity your cloud provider can do on your behalf, taking workload off small to medium enterprises. The other real key factor, again, as we move to the cloud and as we move to digitize, multi-factor authentication will stop a variety of scams. Your email and your internet services should all be protected with multi-factor authentication. My suggestion and best practice is to not use an email account as your second factor. It should really be a phone or an authentication app, such as those provided by Google or Microsoft. Many products that we currently use to run our business already have multi-factor authentication turned on. Your bank account is more than likely or has it already enabled. If they don't, I would check for the option available with your vendor and turn it on.
Is there a role here for outsourcing help?
I think there is a role for outsourcing help, but obviously it comes down to the size of business and what a business can spend money on. Smaller businesses have less resources to spend on somebody helping them to implement good security. One of the ways a small business can implement better security is to use some of those cloud and digital service providers, because at the core of what they do is to make sure their customers' data is protected and secure. I think this helps in two ways. One, you can move and digitize quicker. Secondly, you entrust those providers to act on your behalf and secure your data for you.
Okay, so I'm a small business. I've just started going down the track of becoming digital. What's the first step I should take to make sure that I'm secure?
Personally, I think a really good first step is to read the Australian Cybersecurity Centre Small Business Security Guide. That guide, and it's just been refreshed in November, is very well laid out, 5 simple steps around protecting your information, and they have step-by-step guides around common products that people use and how to make them more secure.
That was the Head of Information and Cybersecurity for MYOB, Peter Wolski. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.